Welcome back to the shop. This week we're going to be covering the past couple weeks, some things that have come up, some rides that I've done, the submarining of the KTM 1090. But first and foremost, I would like to say Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. I've been very fortunate over the past couple of weeks. I've had some really interesting experiences with my son, the first of which was a ride that we did through the Great River Gravel Ride. That was 2 weeks ago. I was on the KTM and he was on the KLR 650. We did 2 days of riding and camping, and then the third day, the trip back home. It was extremely enjoyable. We had a great time, minus some pretty nasty gnats throughout the weekend that were rather annoying. But overall, it was a fantastic trip and an experience that I was really grateful to have with him. He's been riding since he was about 5 years old, but obviously he is now almost 20, and so the dynamic of the relationship definitely changes as they get older, and it was just really nice to get out with him, have that experience together, do that trip together, and spend that time riding. So that was the first one. The second experience was the weekend after that, a large ride, large group ride, and I was back on the 1090 yet again. This was the trip where I managed to submarine the motorcycle. So in my defense, I was following a track. There's no excuses. I should have walked it first. However, I was following a track. I assumed that the water crossing had been done already and that it was in fact part of the route. As it turns out, it was not, and that's okay. I tried to cross it. It was about 3 to 3.5 feet deep. It completely covered the air intakes, sucked water into the motorcycle, and completely submarined the 1090. Now, this highlighted something that I think is very interesting to me personally, and that was the people's reaction to what happened. Personally, I was smiling and laughing the entire time because it was an attempt, it was a failed attempt. It provided a story that I'm confident these people that were on the ride will continue to tell for years to come, and it was an experience that I had on this motorcycle. These motorcycles, no matter which brand, no matter which model, they can always be repaired. Yes, sometimes they cost more, sometimes they take longer than we would like, but they're just machines and they can always be fixed. It was a fun attempt. There was no serious damage to the motorcycle. I've since revived it by taking everything apart, taking out the spark plugs, pumping all of the water out, draining the oil, getting all of the water out of there, putting fresh oil back in, and putting in a new air filter and draining the exhaust and blowing that all out really good. So this bike is already back up and running. It's ready for some next experiences similar to that. So am I claiming that I'm gonna go charging into another river that's 3.5 feet deep without walking it first? Probably not. But will I continue to do water crossings? Absolutely. Will I continue to do water crossings that I'm not 100% confident that I will make it through? Absolutely, because for me personally and my perspective on adventure riding, that is part of what I enjoy. I enjoy challenging myself. I enjoy taking on things that maybe aren't exactly going to always work out. The other key thing that I'll highlight, and I've kind of mentioned this in some of my other videos, is typically when things go wrong, those are sometimes the best experiences that you can have adventure motorcycling. Everybody that was on the ride, jumped in, helped out to get the bike out of the water, to get it up the hillside, to get it back out to the main road. I had AMA roadside assistance, which is part of my membership with them. That got the bike to a safe place. There was just so many people to thank throughout all of these events that I just want to step through it really quick, and I apologize in advance if I miss anyone, but I want to thank Mark for giving me a safe place to get the bike to within that 30-mile range. I want to thank him also for lending me his Nighthawk 650. Fantastic little bike, by the way, to continue going back to the campground, enjoying the weekend, and then sorting this out the following day. And then again, his assistance to get my panniers and my camping gear and all that stuff back to his house. I want to thank my cousin Rich, who came out to pick me up. He was not able to haul the bike because he doesn't have a truck, but that helped out a lot just coming to pick me and my gear up. Then I want to thank my good friend Stan for lending me a truck because I don't have one to go back out and pick the bike up. Numerous people all along the way that just jumped in to help out. If you've seen the previous videos of the Michigan ride, it's a similar experience there, and I'll jump into another experience just a week ago that highlights this. The theme that you're gonna see is that all of this riding is really about the people that you meet and their willingness to step in and help out when things don't go as planned. In addition, after the bike was on the side of the road and I was waiting for roadside assistance, multiple people stopped, one of which was a rider in the area himself. Not only did he stop to make sure that I was okay, he tried to help out with the bike. Obviously, there wasn't a whole lot we were going to do on the roadside, but he did take a quick look at it. We were talking about it. He gave me his card so I can contact him if I'm back in the area riding again, and we'll go riding together. These are the type of things that they're just experiences that you wind up having, and sometimes they do happen in the most unfortunate of circumstances in terms of the riding itself. But personally, I really cherish those. Those are some of the greatest memories that I have, and every time something has gone wrong, somebody somewhere has stepped in to help out, or multiple people have stepped in to help out, and it really highlights how willing people are in general, riders or not, to help someone when they're in need. So that's something that I'm very thankful for. Moving on from the submarine incident, the following weekend I had another ride planned up in Michigan. That ride was planned about a month and a half ago, and I honestly thought I wouldn't make the ride. Obviously, I had a lot of work to do on the bike. At work, it's been really busy, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to do it. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it done in time for this ride. I felt bad because I was kind of the center coordinator for this ride, and I was going to have to bail. Luckily, my son wasn't using his bike that weekend, and he was nice enough to let me borrow the KLR 650, the one that used to be back here in the shop, to go ahead and do that ride. And again, it just, regardless of what bike you're on, and jumping from the 1090 back onto the KLR 650, it was still a fantastic experience. I still had a great time on the ride, and the bike doesn't really matter other than what you enjoy and what you want to be on when you're doing these things. But at the end of the day, whether it's the 1090 or whether it's the KLR 650, getting out, going on these rides, hanging out with people, telling stories, like submarining the motorcycle, these are all fun aspects of the adventure motorcycling to me personally. So I went on that ride, and again, we had a similar situation. One of the gentlemen on the ride, who happened to have purchased my Tiger 800 XC, going around a sandy corner, small drop, the front end just washed out in the sand, but for some reason, the bike would not restart. So again, the other rider, John, that we were with, he went back to the campground, grabbed his truck, we hauled the bike back there, and immediately the response from everyone was, how do we sort this problem out? There were some campers there that came over and assisted. He had a voltmeter, so we were checking a few things on the motorcycle. At the end of it all, we weren't able to get the bike back up and running. Since the rider has taken it into the mechanic, turned out to be a simple switch. They replaced it, no big deal, but it wasn't something that we were able to troubleshoot and fix at the time. However, we coordinated a bunch of activities to make sure that this rider was going to get himself and his bike safely back home. And again, it's that same theme where people just step in that time of need when things don't go right, and really help out, do anything that they can, driving an hour or more to get somebody back to a destination that they need to make it to, whether it's helping to fix something on the side of the road, lend a part, lend money, whatever it is, people just step up and help out. And that's really one of the most fantastic things, I think personally, about this style of riding, is you just meet so many great people, the people you ride with, people along the roadside, wherever it may be. We got that bike sorted out. We got the bike on the trailer. We had a plan to get it back. So then John and I continued the ride. We had an absolute blast. Even though I was riding the KLR 650, it did not dampen my ride at all. Sure, I would have loved to have been on the 1090. That's what I bought it for. It would have been better suspension and more power and all these things. But at the end of the day, getting out and riding, regardless of what bike I was on, that was really the key thing for me. And I had an absolute enjoyable time. We talked a lot about various aspects of the upcoming Colorado trip, and then I took the ferry back home, which was just a great experience. Riding home in the rain really highlighted to me exactly how much fun I have doing this, because it was a cloudy day, drizzle all the way home, and something that normally you would probably look at and say this is a miserable day, but yet I had a smile on my face riding this KLR 650 back home in the rain, and that's really the key thing. The other thing that I'll touch on in relation to submarining the motorcycle is real quickly, I just want to highlight this is one of the areas that you need to keep in mind if you're considering a 1090 or any other bike really for purchase, is the service and the maintenance costs. I'm going to share with you my personal experience, which was going to the dealer in a time of need to try and get this resolved quickly and buy 4 spark plugs. There's a difference between each of the 2 spark plugs. So you buy 2 of these and 2 of these. Individually, the retail price on one of the 2 spark plug part numbers is $61.19 and the other one is $74.69. That's $74 for one spark plug, $61 for another spark plug, and you have to buy 2 of each of these. So I'm not quite sure how other KTM 1090 owners are getting such cheap maintenance and service costs on these motorcycles, and I encourage them to post links to these cheaper parts in the comments below. Share that information, help other people out. Again, I'm not trying to discourage anyone from getting a KTM, especially this 1090. I am still absolutely in love with the bike. I would not trade it for anything else at the moment, and I'm happy to have it. But these are the realistic costs. Now, agreed, I did have to replace these parts as a result of my own actions. And I don't know what the service intervals are yet. You can check the manual and find those online. But at some point in time, you will have to replace spark plugs, you will have to replace oil, and you will have to replace things like an air filter. These items, again from the dealer, are extremely expensive. I wound up with about a $320 bill just in parts from the dealership with a discount to get the air filter, the 4 spark plugs, oil, and an oil filter. That was the extent of what I bought, and that was the cost. Again, I'm not trying to discourage anyone from buying one of these. I'm not trying to talk bad about the 1090. I absolutely love this motorcycle. My intent here is solely to share honest, straightforward prices and feedback and my personal experience with this bike here so that others can take that into consideration, do additional research in terms of where to get parts at a cheaper price, or reconsider purchasing one of these motorcycles. Whichever decision that leads to, what I'm committed to here on this channel is providing you guys with the straightforward, unfiltered details of what I do with my particular motorcycle. So for any of the trolls that want to hammer me, feel free, comment sections down below. I apologize in advance if anybody was disappointed in the format of this video. It did kind of jump a couple of different topics, but it's been a few weeks since we've posted one. So I wanted to kind of catch everyone up with what's going on with me, with this motorcycle, and other rides that I've done. So hopefully this has been enjoyable to at least some. If it has, be sure to hit that like button. As always, if you like the channel and the content that you see, be sure to click that subscribe button and then share this on all of your social media channels. Until next time, take care and ride safe.